Hey there, I'm Leah with Quiet Mind Collective, and I am so honored if you have a few minutes to jump on with me today. So just the way that I start whenever I do a live is having a quiet mind moment together, and let's do that right now. So as you're joining me, just check in with yourself and see what is your attitude towards yourself today. Not towards others, but towards yourself. Is it kind? Is it compassionate? Are you allowing yourself to be a messy human with the rest of us? Okay, I'm checking that myself too. Perfectionist part starts get going, and then I'm off. So gotta let it go. Mistakes are the way that humans learn, and I make plenty of them. So let's also just take a deep breath, regulate our nervous system. It's a great thing to just continue to practice throughout the day. And so when you breathe in for 4, then I want you to hold it for 4. And then I want you to blow out. And as you exhale, let that exhale be longer, like, 6 counts, maybe 8 counts. And in that, you're calming that vagus nerve, you're doing some rest and digest, and you're just letting yourself take a pause. And it's invaluable. In this world, there's so much suffering, and it's so important to sometimes not fix, change, control, just simply to sit with yourself and just soothe yourself. Okay, so let's do that together. Here we go. In for 4. And let's hold it. Okay, then blow it out as long as you want. Yeah, keep going. All right. And then remind yourself, because for 99% of us, you're safe right here, right now in this moment, or you probably would not be listening to this video. So, all right. Now we're going to move into a reflection. So I want you to ask yourself, what do I really want? Okay, so ask that honestly. Take a minute. What is it that you really want right now? Okay, no matter what the answer is, be gentle and ask yourself, what do you think that will give you? Notice the answer to that. Sometimes the first answer sounds external. Often it's going to be money, a better job, maybe something different in your relationship or with your health. But when you say, what will that give me? You trace it deeper and you find almost everybody that I've worked with, clients for 25 years, it comes down to peace or freedom. Those are generally the words they use. Occasionally be happiness, but still peace, freedom, happiness. That's really what we as humans want. We want it more than anything. And we have all these ways of leaving ourselves, abandoning ourselves, and then not living in peace and freedom, but feeling trapped. Okay, so we're talking about authenticity today, because that is the courage to tell the truth to ourselves. And it's one of the most direct paths home to that peace and freedom that we all want. Because without it, we feel the trapped, we feel the little childish games playing in our heads, we rationalize, justify, we say, I had to do that, or it's fine, it's really fine, and it just contributes to some unconscious behaviors. So, let's just give an example. So, for example, what if you built an identity as like a helper? And so you tell yourself, I'm doing the right thing, and it's what I'm supposed to do. I've got to help everybody. I've got to fix their problems. I've got to always stay in control and act like I'm okay, and never admit that anything is wrong. Okay, that's a very common one for many people that I've worked with, including myself. But deep down, we're hurt too, often. And we're hurt that others don't show up for us in the same way, even if we act like it's not a big deal. And then what will happen is we'll quietly resent. It'll turn into anger. then it'll leak out sideways. Maybe it'll leak out on that person. Or maybe it's these little subtle behaviors that this culture just totally accepts. Like, I've got to hurry and get home so I can have a drink. Or I've got to binge watch all the shows. Or I need to eat this and I can't ever feel full. And you know what your skit is. I know what my skit has been. And it's rotated, and many people's will rotate. But I know food was a big one for a long, long time. And I was just numbing out. That's what I was doing. So these are things we do when we're not authentic. So if you're wondering, why am I not happy? Start looking at how you're leaving yourself, how you're leaving your peace, your freedom, and abandoning yourself. Our internal system longs to be in harmony. It actually feels really bad to be out of alignment. You can feel it in your body. So just notice even right now, how aligned am I with myself? Is anything hurting? Do I have a headache? Do I have muscle tension? And instead of going, oh yeah, that's just because I sat in the car all day taking these kids here and there, sit with it for a moment and really tune in. What is my attitude towards doing those things? Because life's going to happen. We're going to do the things we do. Life is full of waves, like an ocean. And there's going to be waves we like and waves we don't like. And we're going to ride them one way or the other. But the way that we learn to live with ourselves, be authentic, say yes to the moment, the better we ride those waves, and we're in harmony. And part of that too is just telling the truth from the level of awareness that we have in the moment. Okay, so if it's not very aware, fine, start there and just start looking at yourself. Do I really mean what I'm saying? When I said yes, I love to go do this thing with you, did I mean it or did I not mean it? Even if you go do the thing, it's not always about the behavior. It's about, tell yourself, I really don't like that activity. Or I really need to rest. My body's telling me I need to rest. And then just start noticing how many times you do things you don't want to do, okay? So don't get hung up about behavior right now. A lot of times people are already like, but I can't do that because then they'll be upset with me. And first, we're telling the truth to ourselves. We're being authentic with ourselves, okay? So peace comes from being honest now, and then the behavior is eventually going to follow later in whatever way that is, and nobody can tell you what that form needs to be for you. So I'd like to suggest that peace and freedom aren't things you have to create. They're not coming from being authentic. It's simply that being authentic helps drop all the things that have fogged up your true nature, which is actually peace and freedom. Okay, so just go with me for a minute. Let's think about babies and how free they are to simply be themselves. I've used this analogy. They cry when they need to cry. They laugh when they're delighted. They don't pretend. They don't perform. They don't hide. Now, over time, you see it with them, just as with us, that they learn to leave that truth. They learn to please, to perform, to manage other people's reactions. Okay, so if you truly want peace and freedom, begin there. Ask yourself these questions. How did I learn to leave that peace and freedom in the first place? What did I decide I had to do as a child to adapt? So for me, I didn't realize how much pretending I was doing, not because I was fake, but because I was afraid. And I didn't understand that I had gathered a lot of masks to stay safe. So that's the first realization, is just to know we wear masks. Then start to look, how many times am I smiling when I really want to cry? Or how many times am I saying yes when my body has whispered no? So to hold everything together, so no one would feel uncomfortable, doesn't work. It doesn't work. I was taught when I was a child, even in the religious environment that I grew up with, a saying called joy. Many of you maybe know it if you have that kind of similar background. And joy meant put Jesus first, others next, yourself last. Sounds great in theory, and there was a lot of Bible verses that were quoted that said this is what this meant, but I can tell you, as a therapist who's worked with people and worked with myself for a lot of years, that it leads to a lot of faking, a lot of silent resentment. If you don't love yourself, you do not have the love to give to someone else. Okay, so that doesn't, still, it's fine to try to be generous, to be grateful as much as you can, but do that for you too. It's so important. Okay, so all that pleasing and trying to be perfect, it's going to turn into a prison of anxiety. It did for me. It's an anxiety that held on long enough that it became depression at times. So it's not weakness. It was fear, living quietly in my body, fear of doing it wrong, fear of rejection, fear of not belonging. And under that, as we've talked about many times, is just many of those childhood survival strategies, because I was a smart kid. I knew I couldn't drive and I couldn't feed myself. So I better stay in the tribe and be what everybody wanted me to be so that I could survive. It's just those things outwear their usefulness as adults. Today, we need to tell the truth. We need to be authentic if we really want to have peace. And at least be honest about that. If we're not going to do it, the cost. Be honest with that. There's even some peace in that. So, quiet self-abandonment created my suffering. The depression wasn't random. It was the weight of all the truths that I hadn't told myself. So another just short point, and we'll get into just asking you a few questions and then wrap up. But my husband a couple of years ago would say, Leah, just tell the truth. And it irritated me so much because I was like, I am telling the truth. But he wasn't talking about facts or opinions. He meant the deeper truth, the ones that I hadn't admitted to myself. It could be something just like I'm scared instead of powering through something, or I feel unseen, or I'm trying so hard to hold everything together instead of just angrily doing the thing and holding things together and thinking that that's working out and nobody's noticing. It can be really crazy the extents that we go to play the roles we think we're supposed to, and not being authentic with ourselves. So, okay. Now, as we've said, there's real reasons why we learn to hide. So I want you just to be gentle with all of this. We've learned to please. We've learned to stay small for many of us. We knew how to not get punishment or shame, or to not, just sometimes telling the truth equal danger even. So what you need to know is the body can learn something new. That being real doesn't have to mean we're unsafe now, even if it once did when we were children. It may mean it's very scary, but this is a scary that goes along with courage and can lead us home, versus just being scared in old patterns where we live and just do the same thing and then wonder why we're not happy. So meeting ourselves with compassion is going to be paramount to finding our way back. All right, so if it feels right, close your eyes again one more time, and just, as we did with the regulation, I want you just to turn inward and think of one small place this week where you left yourself. Maybe you said yes when you meant no. Maybe you stayed silent when the truth wanted a voice, but you were scared. Okay, no judgment, just simply notice. Now, I want you to think that part of you that once kept you safe. You don't need to isolate or alienate that part. You welcome it to the table and you say thank you. I know that you do these things because it feels really important to my system for you to do this. Okay, so I just want to welcome you. I want to sit with you. And then if it feels safe enough right now, you can say, I would like a little bit of room to stop hiding so much. I'd like just a little bit of entryway into speaking out more. Maybe it is saying what I really feel, sometimes saying no, Sometimes going ahead and resting when I need to rest instead of having to power through that next activity. Okay, just notice what comes up when you think about even saying those things or doing something different. Doesn't mean you have to do it, okay? We're just simply sitting with ourselves right now and asking some things, getting to know ourselves a little better. Okay, and then just ask, is there anything more that I need to learn about this? What part of me is really afraid to be honest? Am I afraid I'm going to lose love? Am I afraid I'm going to be abandoned? What is the bottom line? Okay, now just meet that part with as much love and compassion as you can. If you're seeing like a little child self or an image, if you can just hug it, or at least set it at the table in its own chair. Say you're welcome. You're welcome here. We're going to sit together until we can find our way. We're just going to start pausing, not knowing, and when we can, we're going to start being as authentic as we can. And authenticity is not about perfection. It's about presence, this sitting with ourselves, right? Okay, so I just want to wrap up with peace and freedom are already here. They're here if you can quiet your mind enough, come down to your heart. They're here living underneath these stories and narratives of who we think we have to be. So, ocean analogy, beneath its waves, that's really your true self. The waves are going to come and go, the fears, the emotions, the events that happen, they're always moving across the surface. And, they're not the place to anchor. It's to anchor in being part of the water, part of the ocean. You can move with everything, and you'll be okay. So take a slow breath. Feel your feet, your heart, your presence. See if you can just feel a little bit of stillness, knowing that you are already home. And if this message speaks to you, DM me, tell me what's one truth you're ready to tell yourself. And also, if you'd be interested or you know anyone that's interested in a small online gathering for honest, heart-centered connection, where maybe we're going to do guided meditation, journaling prompts, explore self-discovery truths together, send me a message, because I'm feeling into creating a space like that for the new year. I'd love to know what would feel most supportive for you. So thank you for being here. Keep softening towards yourself. Authenticity isn't about fixing. It's about finally letting yourself be seen. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Love you.